Und da sind wir wieder bei The Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Wahrscheinlich eine der letzten Aufnahmesessions sogar, wenn nicht sogar die letzte. Denn wir sind im letzten Fall. Und ja, es ist noch kein Mord passiert bisher. Ich weiß noch nicht, ob noch ein Mord passieren wird. Oder irgendwas anderes. Im letzten Fall war es ja auch kein Mord, sondern nur gefährliche Körperverletzung. Jedenfalls haben wir im letzten Part The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story quasi das erste Kapitel zu Ende gespielt. Und ja, Herlock Jones hat seine Violine umgetauscht für seine Stradivari, für ein anderes Streichinstrument in der Pfandleierei, beim Pfandleiher. Und dort haben wir Gina Lestrade getroffen, die wir auch schon im dritten Fall gesehen haben, die Taschendiebin. Und die hat da einen Mantel abgeholt. In diesem Mantel war eine Disc drin, wo drauf stand for McGilded oder for Mr. McGilded, was der Angeklagte und schließlich auch das Opfer von Episode 3 war. Also sehr, sehr interessant, was das da zu suchen hat. Und diese Disc wurde scheinbar auch genau zu der Zeit des Mordes, den er verübt haben soll, eingereicht und halt dann am 15. April wieder abgeholt. Dann kam noch ein Typ rein, ein Picture Book English Gentleman namens Egbert Eggert Benedict, genau, Aya Benedict. Und da haben wir dann deduziert, der hat behauptet, dass der Mantel von Gina Lestrade sein Mantel ist. Und dann haben wir deduziert, unter anderem, dass sein Name gar nicht Eggert Benedict ist, sondern was mit A und G als Initialen. Und dass er den Mantel abholen wollte, der eigentlich für McGilded zurückgelegt worden ist. Dann hat er uns noch bedroht, weil wir irgendwie der Wahrheit erstaunlich nah dran waren und hat eine Waffe auf uns gerichtet. Und ja, danach kam Scotland Yard, hat ihn festgenommen, glaube ich, und dann wurden wir aus dem Laden geschmissen. Und jetzt geht's weiter mit The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story Investigation Part 2. Ich bin sehr gespannt. Mal gucken. Es ist 20:39 Uhr. Mal gucken, wann wir durch sein werden. Ich schätze irgendwas um 3 Uhr, 4 Uhr morgens. Aber that's just me. 15th April, Baker Street. See? That's why I ate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the D let me keep it, after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, "Go on then, have it, before telling me to scrapper." Always pays off giving people a look like you ate them. I can't help feeling that it's going to get you into serious trouble one day. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc, mind. The music box disc. But Mr. Windyback said it was practically worthless. I think I'm gonna go and have another bash. Give him a long art stare. I think not, Mr. Lestrade. We shan't enter Windybanks again today. Why not? That's not fair. It can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now and taking a statement from Mr. Windybank. But that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat and it was in this coat's pocket. Ja, die Disc wurde ja auch noch von der Polizei ins Gewahrsam genommen. And there should be something else, I know. That's what that one coat said, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Hat er. Well then, that's mine too, whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Ich weiß noch nicht, was das ist, aber das gehört mir. Mr. Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day. Yeah, and it's all your fault, Jones. So what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Eh? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. No, Tar. Oh. Why would I come round your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something? Dieser britische Akzent oder was das sein soll. Oh dear, she's gone. Having relied on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she's had a chance to come down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later too. Zoe? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting! What is it? You shall have to wait and see, Miss Susato. Until later then. Okay. Da bin ich mal gespannt. Move. Okay, in die Pawnbrokery können wir nicht. Uns hier noch umsehen. Ja. Look at all the different things in the window of the shop. Ah, that's Windy Banks. The Pawnbrokery. Ich glaube, das würde man nicht so sagen, wenn man da gerade erst rausgekommen ist, aber okay. It looks much smarter than the pawnbrokers in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable personally. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh Mann. Ja, der Schmerz, wenn man sich von etwas trennen muss. Ich glaube, kennen wir alle. Baker Street. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective. If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Okay. Ich war ja mal in London, ne? Und da waren wir auch bei der Baker Street, ich glaube, das habe ich auch schon mal gesagt. Und hier war auch noch so ein Haus und es sah auch anders aus. Aber das hier ist ja auch Fiktion, das muss ja nicht unbedingt akkurat sein. Gut, ich glaube, wir können dann einfach reingehen in die Sholmes Street. th April, 3:46 p.m., Sholmes Suite. Ah, Susie and Bruno, come in, come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already, you're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh yes, after all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear, it is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny! Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise! Yes, that's wonderful news! Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. Oh yes, that does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you, Mr. Naruhodo? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Hurley? Oh, he's been like that ever since he got back. Hello? Mr. Sholmes? I beg that you won't speak to me. Okay. Sorry, ist er jetzt wieder back in seinem Depressionsloch oder was? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it. I wonder where her real parents are. Vom Nachnamen kann man es ja nicht irgendwie deduzieren, oder? Iris Wilson? Dr. John Wilson im ersten Fall? I don't know. What's the matter, Bruno? You have ever such a funny look on your face. Oh, no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How? How did you... Oh, Bruno, I can read you like a book. This girl is dangerous. Wieso können alle Gedanken lesen im Spiel? Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I won't mind. Okay, dann reden wir mal mit ihr. Ich hoffe, wir müssen ihr jetzt keine schlechten Nachrichten überbringen. Aber erstmal reden wir über Ginny oder Gina. So, by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we are the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. And I chase after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I've developed. Oh. There are so many beautiful colors in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Oh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she does actually come. Living with Sholmes. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Mommy passed away when I was born. And at around the same time, my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on. Oh. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really? He recorded them all. So, you mean it's true? Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases. Oh yes, I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father. Exactly. Kommt jetzt ein name drop? Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up and found your father's memoirs. Yes, so I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me that's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. So Iris' father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Wilson natürlich. Iris' father. I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock. When Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy, I mean, it must have done. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh. Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say this is that his way have rubbed off on me. Wie alt ist Hurley eigentlich? 34, okay. There are some things I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Holmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he's solved the case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day, it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. You can say that again. Warte, was war das? Okay, he forgets everything. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right, Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. Okay, da haben wir den Name Drop. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see? That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well. Iris' father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, Wilson, professor of medicine at Imperial Yuma University. And the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Weiß sie das, ist die Frage. Miss Susato. Yes? Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Okay, wir sagen es ihr nicht. Vielleicht wirklich fürs Bessere. Ah, my dear fellows, how good to see you. Eek! Mr. Holmes! Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter now. So, how the devil are you? Wir haben doch unsere Präsenz angekündigt, oder nicht? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Holmes, is your violin unscathed? My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madam? Oh, very forgetful, war es nicht so? Never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. The disc! Oh, another music box disc. No, not another disc, Mr. Sato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilded's disc. Oh my! Then, what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny, also Diebstahl. Oh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Bruno could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting. She could write all our menacing crime notifications. Yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just going to pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Converse. The music box disc. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to the Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Jones. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes, you did, but I still don't understand, ja, ich auch nicht. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars, like this. Okay. That's amazing. The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of precisely controlled solution. How extraordinary. Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Als ob! Okay, er hat von der Schokolade eine neue Disc angefertigt, oder was? The music on the disc. Do tell us then, Mr. Jones. What music does it display? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea. None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Uno? Oh, hören wir jetzt ein bisschen Musik? Inside the music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances plug the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced, which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe. Weil spielt er gerade das Sherlock Holmes Theme? Ich glaube, das Sherlock Holmes Theme in der Music Box. Okay, nice. Why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music, even when no performer is present. Das stimmt. Spotify lässt grüßen. Back wollte ich drücken. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one's firm's music box does not match that of another. And we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There's no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. Ah, I see. So that's why... Naturally, I tested the disc in those few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So, I am presently engaged in acquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's early for you, always taking things too far. But, my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will all amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Oh man. Magnus McGill. Magnus McGill, not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Ich meine, Hurlock war noch nicht mal involviert drin. Das war ein Fall ohne Hurlock, also. Aber er hat wahrscheinlich trotzdem mitbekommen. Mr. McGill perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. Even though we successfully established Mr. McGill's innocence in the trial, the newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. Ja, stimmt. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGill was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. It would appear the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Jones. Never leave anything too precious with a pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windybanks said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris and Pawn, didn't he? Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Ja, stimmt, ein Manuskript für eine neue Story. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom, where it's worth, I believe. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh, yes, the idea of such a wonderful story, languishing in Mr. Windybank's storeroom, gathering dust. My dear madam, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it, more secure than a bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was it safe and secure? Well, there may be the occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now. Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskerville story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting! The Hound of Baskerville. Of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. Woher weiß den Titel? Ah! What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said the Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's because Mrs. Sato is such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course. But Bruno, the Hound of the Baskervilles. has never been published. What? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said he'd keep it safe. Woher weißt du, sagte das dann? Until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see? So that's why the manuscript is at Windy Banks. And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? Ah. What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Mr. Straight. This was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Mr. Straight. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Oh yes, just wait there, Ginny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right, of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Mr. Straight. Please, make yourself at home. Okay, und schon ist die Sache aus der Welt, dass sie plötzlich den Titel wusste. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some Mendelssohn? I won't take no for an answer. Mendelssohn it is then. No. Meow. That evening, I was prepared after all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholmes' violin performance was in no way meddlesome. And Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves, well into the night.